Jim, more WWE news this week. Apparently, Matt Riddle failed a second drug test, and he has been sent to rehab. He has been written off TV for what I've seen as at least 6 weeks.
They say he ought to go to rehab. He said, bro.
That's horrible.
Here, now this is, I feel sorry for this guy, and I don't even like him. And I've never met him in person. I don't like his wrestling or the way he looks or dresses or acts or speaks or breathes or anything else. But I got nothing against him. But here's the thing. They've got a guy on the fucking card whose entire gimmick and personality that they write for is that he's on drugs. And then they threaten to fire him and make him go to rehab when they find out he's on drugs. Does that make, hey, bro, you want to hit my bong? Go? That's it. So where is the surprise here? Wouldn't they have been more surprised if they tested him and found out he wasn't on drugs?
I think there's different.
We're sending mixed messages.
There are different drugs. I think that they're okay now, WWE, with marijuana, seemingly, but cocaine and ecstasy, for instance, may be a different story.
Well, now that's been leaked. See all these leaks and drips and trickles. And then trickles, when they trickle down, then they drip. Honestly, I don't know with this guy whether anybody could tell if he was on cocaine and ecstasy as well. But again, you're sending mixed messages. Either approve of the guy being on drugs on your television program as long as he's only faking being on drugs? Or when you find out that the guy that you tell to go out and act like he's on drugs on your television program is on drugs, you really can't goddamn say anything. That's my belief. What do you believe?
About what? I believe Matt Riddle apparently is in treatment right now. We hope for the best.
Yeah, we hope for the best for Matt because he got jacked around. See, he was just doing research for his role. He's a method actor.
Well, no one said anything about meth. No one said anything about meth.
No method.
Oh,
method.
He's a meth actor.
He's a method actor. You see, he goes to the Stanislavski method. See, he was researching his part. He wanted to make sure that he was playing this as credibly and believably to the best of his ability. So he wanted to research all these various drugs so he'd know which ones that he needed to act like he was on and which ones he didn't need to act like he was on. I've never seen much of the cocaine, but I have seen at least the marijuana and the ecstasy, along with the just lack of brain cells.
Where have you seen the ecstasy?
Well, he's always smiling.
Oh, you mean on him? I thought you meant like, yeah. I've walked into a room, I've never seen the cocaine, but I've seen the marijuana and the ecstasy.
No, that's another line completely. I've never seen her wrestle, but I have seen her box, but we're not talking about that now. No, I'm talking about on him. He doesn't ever seem real hyper. He always seems more laid back, like he's going in that direction.
Do you think the ecstasy explains the birds
that fly out of his ass?
Yeah.
I don't know, but it had to be some high price shit, because remember Halloween, they turned into pumpkins. One time they were giraffes. When you're just not only producing farm animals and wildlife out of your anal sphincter, but also different kinds at different holiday seasons, you've got a serious drug problem.
Does this change the way you use him when he comes out of rehab if you're WWE? And I asked that about Riddle specifically, or about anybody who's upper mid-card top star.
Well, this does present an interesting conundrum for him, doesn't it? Because now, if the guy comes out and makes these stupid, childish, adolescent jokes that nobody over the age of 13 would get a giggle out of to begin with, about his marijuana smoking or whatever the fuck they've got him doing after he's just come out of rehab, well, doesn't that leave a bad taste in people's mouth? Is that like, would that have been like if Moxley came out of rehab and then they had him come out and act like he's drunk? So, and since we got a Mark Marrow situation here too, because the only thing that Matt Riddle's ever done is be stoner Matt Riddle bro. So if you take that away, is he going to go to college and suddenly start speaking like fucking Keith Lee or Fraser Crane and using big multisyllabic terms? Or are they going to have him go back and do the same thing, but just only do the drugs that we write in the script for you to do? Do not do the other drugs. See, this is a very sticky situation here.
No, but all kidding aside, WWE uses him pretty well. Obviously, they like his material because they've fed into it. And in the last year, there was that one scandal where he was accused, I believe, of rape by his mistress, which blew up his marriage.
Now wait a minute. No, his unauthorized girlfriend outside of marriage. Mistress could have all kinds of connotations. We don't know what she was doing with him or to him or whatever.
Well, they claimed that they were she claimed, and I don't think he disagreed, that they were in a relationship together. That's why I said mistress.
Yeah, but she didn't have handcuffs and fucking leg irons on him and wasn't whacking him with a fucking riding crop. So
I didn't mean mistress of the club. I meant mistress, an actual mistress in the traditional
of the dark
sense.
Elvira.
I meant a traditional mistress.
Traditional. Well, we want these traditional family values to be on the program.
This is a very serious topic. Matt Riddle.
It certainly is.
Matt Riddle has already had that. Now he's been popped for what we're going to assume is not marijuana. So a lot of people are saying a lot of different things. At a certain point with someone like that, and you could put any wrestler in that position, when you have these things happening, and it seems like there's always some kind of drama, what does that do to you as a company in terms of your future preparations and what you want to do with someone?
It is,
I mean, because we've all seen Jeff Hardy. I guess that's the biggest long-term example we have now, right?
Well, yes, but there's a whole lot of space between Riddle and Jeff at this point still. They could, because I don't think you can, if this is the second time he's flunked a test, it's the second time he's ever flunked a test because he's never worked anywhere else. And, Jeff's issues, and thankfully he's getting those addressed. And from what we can tell from anything Matt has said, everything's going smoothly. But that was over a longer period of time of years and in multiple companies that there were issues. So does the guy have an issue that is a problem that needs to be addressed, or is the guy just goofy and just goes out and does shit like his apparently, fairly true to life gimmick indicates? Does he just go out and do shit without thinking about it ahead of time? Or, hey, maybe I shouldn't have done that. Who knows? But I think that you got to take into account the totality of working with a guy. They've been around him for several years on a regular basis. I'm talking about the WWE office, and they know probably kind of what they've got there and who he is. And if they let him get by, not let him get by with, but they did not take action on the accusation because apparently there were other people in the van. I guess they talked to people, whatever the case. It didn't seem like that they felt they needed to do anything there. But with this, if it's the second time, then they have probably forced this issue because the third strike, you're out no matter who you are, at least if people find out about it, I guess. And they don't want to get rid of him, or they don't want him to, fuck up and them have to get rid of him. So maybe they've done this now because they still want to keep him. They want to use him. He probably would fit right in with that bowl of fucking mixed nuts over in AEW. So they probably want to keep him, don't want to get rid of him, but they know they'll have to if it happens again. And I would imagine he would be on some kind of double secret probation for a little while after this, but we don't want to act like all of a sudden, oh my God, here's another Jeff Hardy, when Jeff was having his issues for a long period of time in multiple places.
I guess a big overall question, because a lot of people have been wondering about the current state of the WWE wellness system. And since day one, a lot of people have questioned if there was an AEW wellness system. Should wrestling companies test for all these drugs? Do you think that's inside the purview of what a wrestling promotion or a promoter should do? Or Well, what are your thoughts on that?
It was necessary at one time, I think, because it became necessary and especially, I'm not talking about guys in independence because they can do what they can do what they want, right? Good or bad, they're adults and they're independent contractors. In the WWF, later WWE, as we've talked about, those guys are independent contractors in classification only. They tell you what to do, where to go, et cetera, but because so many of the guys were developing issues and problems, there had to be something done. There had to be some testing. And for a while, at least while I was there in the 90s, they appeared to be somewhat serious. They even tested me when I came in just managing, Yoko for TVs. Oh, you got to do so. I take the thing and go in the bathroom. The guy's following me. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, I've got to watch you. Now, that was a new one on me. I'd had a few drug tests in different places, but I said, I don't know you. And unless you're a sexy girl that's going to do a variety of attractive things, I'm probably not going to let you watch me piss, pal. And so they, well, you got to do it as well. I don't really have to goddamn do it. And Jerry Briscoe said, come in here with me. And he fucking went in the bathroom with me. He said, I'm official or whatever the fuck. And he stood outside the stall and whistled. But, the guys that had problems and in the WWE and in WCW at that time, when they were during the Attitude Era, when they were actually making money and guys had issues. And I mean, you can go down into further companies. Should AEW, well, a lot of those guys do work independence, but for the money that he's paying, he should have the privilege of knowing whether anybody's fucked up or not, especially if there's reason, if there's cause, if there's reason to believe it. Because once a lot of companies establish programs and sooner or later it's expensive and you're finding that most people ain't flunking, then it starts becoming a cost issue. And then they start doing it on cause if somebody suspects something or whatever. So, I mean, yes, I think the WWE has a right to, because as much as they got a right to tell the other guys or tell the guys any of the other things they tell them. And if you're working for a company full time and there's big money involved, if it's a goddamn $150 independent shot, not only can the promoters not afford it, but then the guys will go, well, fuck you, I'll just work for any of these other fucking clowns. So there has to be a cutoff point. But do most of the wrestlers take drugs anymore, or do they all play video games and watch Japanese tapes?
There are still plenty of wrestlers with pill problems. There are still plenty of wrestlers doing plenty of drugs. That doesn't go away.
Well, good. It's good to know that at least some things never change. No. And that's the biggest thing that ought to be looked for, I would think, honestly, is prescription medication, painkillers in specific, because that's the issue now. I think that if anybody in the wrestling business has one, that's where it starts.
Jim, scrolling through Twitter right now, based on what your live update was earlier, I have to say a lot of fans are livid about Mandy Rose being released. They think it's a double standard from WWE. A lot of people feel that it's unfair that she's been released for these photos when they've had people pose for Playboy in the past. A lot of people think it's misogynist.
Well, and again, during the Attitude Era, the guys were encouraging the girls in the crowd to flash their tits. So how could they not have people in Playboy? And plus, when they got people in Playboy, whether it was Sable or then China or whoever the fuck's done it since then, it was big sales and big publicity. And that meant something for business. But then when they determined that they needed to be PG, family-oriented for the wider sponsorships they could get or the networks or whatever the fuck, then they couldn't do that anymore. So it's not a double standard. If a company did something 20 years ago and then has changed their method of operation to the point where they can't do that thing anymore, it's not a double standard. It's only a double standard if somebody is being allowed to do something right now in this current environment that somebody else in their same position is not being allowed to do. Then you can kind of get cranky about it.